On today's show, we had a showdown in Boston, a couple of big comebacks in the league, and LeBron James just 1 point shy of 50,000 points for his career. We'll talk about all that and so much more on today's edition of Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
What's up, everybody? My name is Danny Cunningham, host of Locked On Cavs, joined as always on Sunday night by Swipa, host of Locked On Nuggets. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. You can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Drop us a 5-star rating. Leave us a nice review. Be a friend. Tell a friend about the show. Available on YouTube as well. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button for us and click subscribe. Today's show, of course, brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. First game of the day, the Denver Nuggets go into Boston, can't quite find a way to get a win. They had a great second half, came back from down, had a big deficit. I think they were down as many as 20 in this one, Swiper, but ultimately Boston gets a 110-103 victory over the Nuggets.
Yeah, I'm sure John will have some interesting thoughts on this game, but it was the tale of two halves. The Boston Celtics came out just absolutely pummeling the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets could not create enough offense in this game. Nikola Jokic seemed to hurt himself somewhere around the warm-ups, and he was very gimpy, noticeably gimpy. Even the broadcast brought it up during the first part of the game. That kind of went away as the game went on, but you could tell just not 100%. Jamal Murray had 4 points in the first half. It looked like this was going to be a shellacking. The Nuggets got it down from a 20-point lead to a 13-point lead, and they had it at 11 before Tatum got a nice little dump ball pass for a last-second shot for the Celtics. But in the second half, everything turned on its head, and the Nuggets could not close the job out, but they outplayed Boston throughout the second half, and especially really going into that fourth quarter as well.
Well, you said it. Let's head on over to John Corrales of Locked On Celtics for more.
It got a little dicey here in Boston, but the Celtics got the job done thanks to Derrick White coming up clutch down the stretch. Al Horford was big throughout this whole game, too, turning back the clock, playing great. The Celtics did a good job targeting Jamal Murray early on, built the lead as high as 20 points, but then they started turning the ball over. A bad game for Jason Tatum after having one of the best games of his life. A lot of turnovers overall for the Celtics, a lot of points off of turnovers for the Nuggets. So it was a closer game than the early success would have indicated, but Celtics coming up big. Jaylen Brown looked a little tired, maybe. He's been dealing with knee issues, so a lot of his shots fell short in the fourth quarter, which kind of made things closer. If some of those makeable shots had fell, maybe this would have been an easier game, but it's a nice bounce back for the Celtics after the loss to Cleveland, and now they continue that homestand with maybe an easier game against the Portland Trail Blazers.
Well, we'll see if that is an easier game for Boston when they play the Blazers. I was impressed with the Blazers. We'll talk about them coming up in a little bit, but Boston, again, builds a big lead. Cannot quite close. I mean, they close out the game, they get a win, but they can't necessarily make things comfortable. You look at what happened Friday against Cleveland, and of course, they avoid losing 3 straight. But I don't think that this Celtics team at this point in the season, I do think that there's just maybe not cause for concern, but watching this team, I don't think that they're the same team they were last year.
I mean, no, they're still good. Obviously, no KP, no Drew Holiday. That's a very important context for what happened today. But just straight up, JT and Jaylen Brown got outplayed, period, in the second half. They had 14 combined points on 4 of 14 from the field. Jamal Murray outscored both of them down the stretch. And what got Jamal Murray going today was Jamal Murray and Jason Tatum had a little back and forth, in which Tatum was kind of arm barring Jamal. Jamal was looking at the referee like, are you going to call this or not? And then Tatum ends up shooting a 3, misses it. And then I remember noting on Twitter that, okay, Jamal sucks this first half, but that's probably going to be the thing that turns him on. And sure enough, Jamal Murray came out just cooking. And I think, the Celtics, the thing is, the way the Nuggets played it, down the stretch of the fourth quarter, they stopped giving them the pick and roll, and what they did is started switching Jokic on to Derrick White. Now, Derrick got a lob to Luke Cornett, and then he got a 3-pointer with like 5 minutes left in the game. But outside of that, when they ISO'd Jokic on the Tatum or on the Derrick White, they actually had a lot of success. And because at that point, if you stop the ball movement from the Celtics, then you can actually create more possession for yourself, which they did. The thing the Celtics ran into today is that the Nuggets having to start Russell Westbrook and no Aaron Gordon fundamentally changed how the Nuggets were able to attack them offensively. And Russell Westbrook just was not able to convert a few looks down the stretch of the game, really easy looks. That could have put the Nuggets ahead and then the game been different a little bit. But overall, the Celtics did their job. Derrick White was the hero of the day. In the second half, Derrick White, what do you know? Colorado kid himself, 14 points, 5 of 8 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3. And guess what, Danny? He was the only player in the Celtics lineup to score more than 7 points the entire second half. They absolutely put the clamps on them in the second half, and the net rating showed for true as well. So again, no Derrick White today. The Celtics would have been going home with 3 straight losses.
Right, but lucky for them, they've got Derrick White. He's put together some really nice second halves, bailed them out of a few games. He's obviously one of their better players in the starting lineup. He's having, I think, he's having great stretches to games that we've seen. I've seen him close out several games for Boston. But moving on to our next game, Battle of LA. The Lakers beat the Clippers 108-102. Let's head on over to Locked On Lakers for more.
This is Andy Kamenetsky, co-host of Locked On Lakers podcast, and the Lakers get their 6th straight win, 108-102 over the Clippers, overcoming no Rui Hachimura, no Austin Reeves, and 17 turnovers that the Clippers turned into 20 points. Luka Doncic carrying forth the great second half he had against the Clippers on Friday. 29 points, 9 of 17 from the field, 5 of 12 from behind the arc, also 6 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals. Got a big boost as well from Dalton Connect, 19 points off the bench, including 5 triples for the rookie. The Lakers are now the 2nd seed, tied with the Denver Nuggets. Things really looking up right now for the Lakers. For more Lakers coverage, make sure you're watching Locked On Lakers on YouTube and listening wherever you get your podcasts.
As he said, don't look now. The Los Angeles Lakers, your number 2 seed in the Western Conference. I don't think I would have believed you if you would have told me a month ago right now, yeah, the Lakers are going to find their way up to the number 2 seed. I wouldn't have believed it, but they've been awesome since acquiring Luka Doncic, which I don't think should be a surprise to anybody because he's one of the best players in the world. But I think this is another really nice win for them.
Yeah, the Clippers are good. They have a really good defense. The Lakers have a really good defense. But again, I think this is why the Nico Harrison decision is just so wild. Luka Doncic fundamentally changes how the Lakers are able to play basketball. And that should make a lot of sense, right? Like you get a top 3 player in the world, top 4 player in the world, and you put him on the roster. Then you put him with LeBron James, especially. They have just been able to put together a stretch of basketball that they're very confident. They're playing together. They're buying into JJ Redick's system. They're playing tenacious defense. They're connected defensively, and they're protecting Luka, and they're protecting Austin Reeves. They didn't have Austin Reeves today. Luka Doncic had 29 points, 9 of 17 from the field. He was a plus 19. Dorian Finney-Smith, another easy grab that they got, had 11 points, but he was a plus 24 because Dorian Finney-Smith is a winning player in this league. Jared Vanderbilt off the bench, 4 of 7 from the field, plus 10. So you got Luka, Jared Vanderbilt, Dorian Finney-Smith. Just that trio alone is something that is going to fortify Luka very well. And then you add LeBron James in there, who didn't even have a great game today. They just have so many different looks now because they've added Luka into their lineup. And I don't want to be remiss about what actually is happening. The Lakers are not good because they were good without Luka. They were winning without Luka, but that's not the same thing. They have right. Luka, and Luka's rolling into his form. That's not a there's no way to predict that, Danny. So somebody said a month and a half ago or a month ago, the Lakers are going to be the 2 seed. Well, no, they're not good enough.
Right.
But the Lakers having Luka Doncic, this is the team that can go to the NBA Finals.
Right, and they are, since Luka made his debut, they are the number 2 defense in the NBA. And I think if they're going to win, and maybe that's the most surprising part of this, because you think Luka Doncic defense is obviously the last thing that you think about. You think about what he does on the offensive end of the floor. And I'm not saying that their defensive success is because of Luka, because that's not the case. But the fact that they're able to be this good defensively with him in the fold, I think that that says a lot about where this team could go because they're still figuring things out. Like they're not in peak form as of right now, but I do think that this team now has a really, really high ceiling. Last game in segment number 1 today, the Indiana Pacers beat the Chicago Bulls 127-112. Let's head on over to Tony East at Locked On Pacers for more.
Tony East here with Locked On Pacers in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where the Pacers win a game that was probably a little too stressful over the Bulls, but they get it done. 127-115, the final score, I believe. It doesn't really matter what the final score is. Pacers comfortable lead for much of the fourth quarter to get this one done. They were trailing at halftime. Really rough defensive and rebounding stretch for the Pacers of late, but they turned it around. That was the story of this game. They figured out how to stop Kobe White. Kobe White, 20 points in the first half, only 6 in the second. They were struggling with him. Pacers trapped him. He could not get the ball movement going. Enough for Chicago, who could not quite score enough to keep up with the Pacers, who kept scoring all night. Aaron Nesmith, career high 27. He hit 6 threes. That really changed the game for the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton with a double-double. Pascal Siakam with his 20 points. They played well enough to win. Once they figured out that defense, Pacers keep it rolling, stay in the middle of that Eastern Conference playoff picture. Much more on Locked On Pacers.
Aaron Nesmith was awesome in this game for Indy. I think that they're probably locked somewhere in between 4, 5, and 6. Yeah. I don't see them being able to fall into the play-in. I don't see them getting up to 3. And then the other question I have at the other end of the standings, is the 10 seed in the East going to have 50 losses? Because I really think that's going to happen at this point. The Bulls are currently in 10th, 24-37.
Look, it could happen. I just hope the Bulls keep losing. Tank properly, please. The Pacers are really good. Aaron Nesmith is a player. I'm actually really, really happy for how the Pacers are playing. There is a world for them to have 2 All-NBA players this year in Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton. So I think they're going to be a dangerous team, and I think they're going to be a lot better than people realize when playoffs roll around.
It'll be I'm fascinated to see what a matchup between them and Milwaukee would look like in the postseason. We saw it last year. Obviously, Indy beat a Milwaukee team that didn't have Giannis, that didn't have Dame for part of that series. But if those two teams match up fully healthy, I think that's a fascinating series to see how that goes. But up next, we had a couple of really big comebacks and one almost comeback that probably should have been. We'll talk about that next right here on Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on that action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off, or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback like a couple that we're about to talk about right here, you can stay in the action. Plus, if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay. FanDuel's live betting feature keeps every moment of the game exciting, whether you're backing your team for that late game rally that we talked about, or you're picking a player to hit a clutch 3. You never have to feel like you miss your chance because there's always something out there for you. Plus, the app is very easy to use, and when you win, because you're going to pick some winners, you get paid instantly. And right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com, FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you again for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. You can find the show anywhere you get your podcast. Make sure you give us a 5-star review wherever it is that you are listening. And there were some comebacks in the NBA today. And we'll start in Cleveland as the Blazers held an 18-point lead over the Cavs with just over a minute left in the third quarter. Cavs come all the way back, force overtime. Really should have won the game in regulation, but Darius Garland missed a free throw with under 10 seconds left that opened the door for the Blazers. And then they get a 133-129 win over the Blazers. Swipa, I do have to say, I'm impressed with the way that Portland's been playing lately. I think that this game was probably a bit of an emotional letdown spot for the Cavs coming off of a win Friday night in Boston, but I came away impressed with a lot of guys from Portland, including Denny Avdia, who had a 30-point triple-double in this one.
Denny is a special player, and I think the more people tap into how good he is, the better. He's on a winnable contract. He's on a winning player contract. He's on a winning role player on a championship team contract with the skills that he have, and he's young. Tamani Kamara is going to be one of them ones. Both of them gave the Cleveland Cavaliers issues today, and they're pups. They're babies. Donovan Clingan is going to be a player, and you got a chance to just see the skill set that he has. Shaden Sharp still figuring out basketball. he's going to be a dog. And then they got Anthony Simons. I love Shaden Sharp, Donovan Clingan, Tamani Kamara, Danny Advia, and then Scoot Henderson figuring out how to play himself. They have a really nice role and set of players. And really, Delano Banton is also good. I think he has some upside to him as well. They have a lot of athletes and a lot of guys that can get buckets, a lot of guys that can buy into a system. I love the way Chauncey Billups has them playing. They have been a tenacious defense since January 1st, and they do not give up. They find a way to wilt you down and get you to a spot where they can find an advantageous matchup to try to win the game. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, after coming off a great win, experienced that to themselves today.
So Portland was 13-28 a few weeks ago. They're 27-34. Like, they've been fantastic lately. I'm buying stock in the Blazers, not for this year. Like, this isn't a team that's going to sneak into 10th or anything, but next year I can see Portland as a possible play-in team in the West. Like, I really think that their growth is going to be good. They've got a lot of young, good players.
Well, just to be clear, Dan, you realize that the Western Conference, the play-in in the East right now at 10 is the Bulls at 24-37. The play-in is the Dallas Mavericks at 32-29 without Anthony Davis. Like, the Western Conference next year, because somebody's going to get KD. Who knows who's going to get KD? And then the Kings are still going to be the Kings. The Mavericks will be back. The Clippers are going to have Kawhi and Harden still. The Rockets, who knows? And then you're going to have everybody else. They probably won't make the play-in next year, but they can push. And then Wemby, De'Aaron Fox and them get a full year next year. That's the thing about the West, man. It's like, at one point, I thought 12 teams were going to make the play-in, but how good they were playing. And then the injuries started hitting everybody. But look, they're going to be good, man. But even making the play-in in the West is going to be a dogfight.
I think they'll be in the conversation. I don't know that they'll make it, but I think they'll be a team that, I'll say that I think they will be above 500 next year. I think that, and that gets you in the conversation. I don't know if that gets you in, but it gets you in the conversation.
What does 41-41 get you in the Eastern Conference?
In the Eastern Conference, right now, probably the 8th seed. That's you would probably.
It would be the 7th seed, basically. Woo!
At the end of the season, it might be the 8th seed. Like, that's what we're talking about, just in the difference between the two conferences. The other overtime come from behind win. The New York Knicks were down by 19 points against the Miami Heat. They get a win in overtime, 116-112. Jalen Brunson had 31 in this one, and it feels like the Knicks needed this win. I know that they've been playing a little bit better basketball since getting
versus Memphis the other day too.
Right, since getting shellacked by the Celtics and the Cavs in back-to-back games, but I do feel like they're a team that needs to start building some momentum.
Look, and I think Mitchell Robinson coming back, if not anything else, Danny, give Tom another body to play. So that way you don't have to play 7 players 40 minutes a game. That is kind of where I am with this. Like, I think that Mitchell Robinson is going to be a nice value add for this team. This is his second game back, Danny. He played 30 minutes. His second game back. Like, sorry, no bad. That was Miles McBride. I was looking.
Miles McBride.
I was looking. I was like, wait a minute. There's no way
for the Knicks. Like, that is jarring stuff.
Yeah, he played 13 minutes today, which is good. Thank God. Miles McBride played 30 off the bench. I'm just really curious to see how as the year goes on. I really want to see those matchups where they start starting Mitchell Robinson and Cat, maybe like a month from now when like you really get them back and integrated into the system. Because I think Mitchell Robinson will take them up at least half a tier. I don't know if that will help them with Boston, Cleveland, maybe.
I just don't think they're going to see Cleveland because I don't see how they can be Boston and they're locked into the 3 seeds. Like, I think they probably, and I do think the Cavs would beat them in a series.
Yeah, of course.
I think they would be more competitive against the Cavs than they would be the Celtics. But I don't see them falling to 4, and I don't see them, like that's just not going to, and I don't see them beating Boston. So I don't think that Cavs Knicks is something that we're going to see this year in the postseason, unfortunately for some. And then the third and final comeback, almost comeback. We have to talk Orlando and we have to talk about Toronto because this is a game that the Magic probably should have had. We're going to head on over to Locked On Magic for more.
This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic here at the Kia Center's Orlando Magic fall the Toronto Raptors 104-102. And obviously there's going to be a lot to be said and a lot that can be said about the way the Orlando Magic came back in this game. They were down by 19 in the fourth quarter, down by 10 with 2 minutes to go, and they worked themselves all the way back into the game. Franz Wagner had a layup attempt with about a second to go to tie the game and missed it. It's one thing to make or miss league, bad miss to have, but it happens in the course of a game. And frankly, the Magic should never have been in that position to begin with. The word of the day for the Orlando Magic throughout the last few weeks has been urgency. They've been asking themselves, why don't we have urgency? Why aren't we playing up to our level, up to our standard, up to our energy level? The Magic didn't have any urgency throughout the course of this game. They had to find it in the second quarter. They had to find it in the third quarter. And eventually the Raptors were able to hit them with a heavy blow and put them down by 19. The Magic let go of the rope far too much. That's been the struggle for this team. And Jalen Suggs' absence is obviously a big part of that. The Orlando Magic announced on Sunday, Jalen Suggs will undergo arthroscopic surgery to repair cartilage in his left knee, or to remove some cartilage from his left knee, some loose cartilage from his left knee. He's out indefinitely. And with the Magic entering the final quarter of their season, likely at least a month out, it does appear that Jalen Suggs' season is over. The Magic are going to have to find and manufacture their energy and find their urgency if they want to make a postseason push.
You know, I thought that the Magic maybe would have been woken up a little bit by losing by 40 to the Cavs last week, and it just has not happened. Like, they blew a game that they should have had against Golden State. The fact that they were down against this Raptors team by 19 points and then couldn't close the deal on the comeback. One, offensively, I don't know if there's a bigger eyesore in the NBA than watching the Magic try and put the ball in the basket right now, but it's hard for me to have any belief in this team turning it around before the end of the season.
It just sucks that the Magic started the year off so well, and then they just got decimated with injuries. It all happened at once. Paolo goes down, Franz is playing crazy. Franz goes down, Suggs is playing crazy. Suggs goes down, and then it's just been like ever since trying to get back to where they were, and they just can't find the juice. And I think that happens in the NBA season sometimes, Danny. You start off well, and then you just never get the juice back again. I mean, the Malice and the Palace, a lot of people forget. You know, I know this is a story that not a lot of people will remember. The Pacers could have won the Eastern Conference that year.
Yeah, they were good, man.
They were heading in the right direction to, like, we might go to the NBA Finals this year. Malice ruined them, and they never got the juice back, even after all the suspensions got lifted. And sometimes, like, injuries are also something that can do that. So it sucks for the Magic. They are such a good team. Jamal Mosley, I think, is a very good coach. I think he's trying to coach them through a lot of things they're trying to unlearn because they're so young. And, you know, KCP hasn't had a great year this year. He obviously is, like, you know, many Magic fans, they feel like he's too high a paid player to do what he's doing right now. But I think KCP is a role player that is used to playing in championship systems. And I think they would have been in we're gunning for the second round of the playoffs had they kept maintaining their pace. But it's just really unfortunate, man, because they've done a lot. But shout out to the Raptors too, man. Like, again, Darko has done a great job with them. Emmanuel quickly had a good game today. Jakob Poeltl continues to be one of the most important bigs in the league. And then Jamal Shad off the bench continues to be a contributing winning player as well. The Raptors are just building their own culture, and slowly but surely they will continue to rise up the ranks as well. And the next thing you know, the Raptors, they're going to be right back to winning the Eastern Conference again in just a few years.
Well, I don't know if I'm ready to quite say that, but I do think that they'll be much better than they are right now.
Shout out, Scott. I'm telling you, man. Brandon Ingram, you know, maybe a little Scotty Barnes, all NBA prop one day, and all that other stuff. Who knows, man? Who knows, man? The Raptors, you just never know. They might hit somebody in the draft. You just never know.
I mean, never say never, but I'm not ready to go quite to that level yet. Well, the Thunder and the Spurs, they wanted to take it there. We had a basketball fight, if you want to call it that, in that game, plus a couple more games to get to right here on Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's show brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready because they swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass. Every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 2024-2025 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon until midnight. So maybe you stayed up late because that game was on the West Coast and you're on the East Coast. Maybe you're living in New York, but you just could not miss Luka Doncic going for 50 for the first time in a Lakers uniform. So that means you couldn't get lunch together for work the next day. So what do? You're going to sign up for Dash Pass, and then you're going to get up to $10 off the next day when you order lunch, have it delivered right to your office. So what you do, sign up for Dash Pass, be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50, that is NBA50, from noon until midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. Thank you again for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. Also, every single basketball team has a Locked On newsletter. Sign up for your favorite team's newsletter at LockedOnDaily.com. That is LockedOnDaily.com. As we continue on with every single game from Sunday, the Oklahoma City Thunder, well, they got a win against San Antonio on the road. We did have a little bit of a scuffle, if you will, in this one. Had a few guys ejected, but before we get to that, let's head on over to Rylan Stiles from Locked On Thunder.
Big win over the San Antonio Spurs. It was a hard-fought game despite the lopsided ending. The Thunder did not have their typical success on the defensive end to start this game. A lot of that, a credit to San Antonio for their difficult shot making. It got them comfortable for the majority of this game. But ultimately, after a kerfuffle in that third quarter, things buckled down for Oklahoma City and they pulled away. Thanks to a career night from Jalen Williams, a 41-point night from J-Dub to really boost this Thunder's offense as they score a season high against San Antonio and get a win on the front end of this back-to-back. SGA had 30 points before the third quarter ended again, and the Thunder were able to get a win in San Antonio.
So Thunder win 146-132, as Rylan mentioned. J-Dub had 41 points. He had 7 dimes, 6 assists, really good game. Did it on 24 shots, super efficient. SGA had 31 points, so he was not really much of a factor in the fourth quarter. Did have 3 guys ejected. Kenrich Williams tossed, Lou Dort tossed, and Julian Champagny all tossed for a kerfuffle, as he termed it.
Yeah, but whatever. Happens. Long season. It's just, you got to find something to play for sometimes. So shout out OKC. They get another win.
Yeah, that's a nice win for them against a Spurs team that I think looks a little bit better after Wemby than I thought they would. I just didn't expect them to be competitive in this game, but the fact that they were able to hang around a little bit longer than I thought they would, I think that's a good sign. Next, we're going to head on over to Utah as the Pelicans got a win over the Jazz in a tank-off 128-121. Here's Jake Madison from Locked On Pelicans with more.
But outside of New Orleans, I'm Jake Madison, host of Locked On Pelicans. Honestly, I have no idea if they won or lost right now. We're at Mardi Gras. There's a parade going on behind me. Hope they lose to the Utah Jazz. That's the most important thing, given that's a team that they are kind of competing with when it comes to draft positioning out here. When I looked at halftime, they were winning. Oh, that almost killed me. That was a good throw right there that someone else caught. So hopefully the Pelicans lose, but probably not against the Utah Jazz. Zion's playing really well. I'm hopeful he played well tonight. Again, don't know for sure, but if he did, that's still an encouraging sign. We'll have more on Locked On Pelicans tomorrow once I actually catch the game.
All right, well, let's head on over to David Losh with Locked On Jazz for some actual conversation about the game.
In a matchup of two teams in the bottom of the Western Conference, the Jazz came in at 15-44, and the Pelicans were 16-44. We got a high-energy, great-effort basketball game in Salt Lake City. The Jazz came back to tie it at 91 going to the fourth, and C.J. McCollum got hit and hit 3 straight threes. The Jazz played this game without their 5 primary guys, Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, and John Collins all did not play. That opened up opportunities for Kyle Filipowski, who had 13 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists. And Oscar Tshiebwe, the former college basketball player of the year and SEC player of the year, came off the bench tonight for the Jazz with 16 points and 13 rebounds. Keontae George rallied the Jazz back with 5 threes and a 28-point night. Jazz do not win 2 in a row. They had tried, it was going to be the first time since early January that they had won 2 in a row, but they weren't able to pull it off. Pelicans have now won 5 of 7.
I'm going to guess that Jake Madison's Mardi Gras parade that he was at was more fun than this game. And that is what I will leave it at. What are your thoughts?
Hey, man, look, I haven't had the pleasure of going to Mardi Gras, so I wish you would have invited me.
And then the last game of the night, The Minnesota Timberwolves get a 116-98 win over the Phoenix Suns. Worst vibes in the NBA. Phoenix Suns.
Edwards.
He was awesome. We are going to get to that. First, let's hear from Locked On Wolves.
The Minnesota Timberwolves came back to beat the Phoenix Suns by 18 points on Sunday. I'm Ben Beacon, host of the Locked On Wolves podcast. Anthony Edwards dropped 44 points on 22 shots against Phoenix. He also had 7 assists, just 1 turnover, and 5 rebounds in one of his better games in the last couple of weeks. Plus, Julius Randle returned after missing the last 13 games due to injury. He had 20.6 rebounds, 3 assists on a super efficient 8 of 14 shooting. And from the start of the game, it was apparent that having another effective high volume scorer that could function as a point forward, even the spacing, not a traditional amount of spacing for the 3-point line, but just having another offensive threat on the other side of the floor for Minnesota made a huge deal in terms of how much room Ant had to operate. Dante DiVincenzo had 24 points off the bench, all on threes, 8 made threes, and 6 steals for Dante DiVincenzo, who just recently came back from injury as well. We'll break the whole thing down over at Locked On Wolves.
Dante DiVincenzo obviously had a great game. He hit 8 threes. Anthony Edwards had that 44 spot, and I just keep waiting for the Wolves to be good.
They are good. They're good. They've been good. They've been in the good column since January 1st. They're good. And once they get to the playoff, they're going to be good again. They're going to be good again. And then once they bench Julius Randle, they'll be even better.
So that's the question here. Are they going to bench Julius Randle? Because, and I understand that a lot of it's not as if they racked up the wins while he missed those 13 games. And part of it was because other guys were out too, right? It's not as if Ant played the whole time. Rudy Gobert's been dealing with a back injury. Dante DiVincenzo has only played 3 games since he came back from that foot injury. So I do think that with the Rudy thing being out, because I'm with you, like, I think this is a better team because Julius Randle does not fit as well as you would like. But with everyone else being out, I just don't know that they're going to have the sample size to say, you know what, we do have to bench you. Partially also because I know Chris Finch really, really believes in him.
Cool. 46% true shooting in the playoff in his career. Julius is a great person. I heard he's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person. Ain't got nothing to do with nothing. That dude doesn't fit what they are. Rudy Gobert, Anthony Edwards, Naz Reid, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels, with some Dante DiVincenzo, I would say some Terrence Shannon Jr., maybe Rob Dillingham, and then add Mike Conley, and then add Julius Randle. That needs to be their playoff rotation.
So let me ask you this, because right now they're in 8th, and of course they're tied in.
You're going to ask me a question. No.
Well, you don't know what question I'm going to ask. What teams that are currently in the top 5 that they could conceivably play in the first round can they beat 4 times in 7 games? Who would you pick them to beat in the playoffs?
Well, pick or conceive they can. Which one?
Who would you pick? Because if they're going to be a problem in the playoffs, if they're going to be good in the playoffs, it tells me you might pick them.
They can beat OKC. They can beat Denver. They can beat the Lakers. And then who's 4 right now?
Memphis is 4. Memphis is the team I would pick them to beat Memphis.
I think they beat Memphis. I think they can beat Denver again. I think they can beat the Lakers. You want to talk defense? You think your defense is cold? All right, bet. Now, Luka did already kill them, to be fair, but like that was also a different constructed roster. I think OKC and it would be fun. I would like to see that matchup, but I don't know the way they're winning games right now. I don't know if we're going to see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see it. I'm very interested to see how this Western Conference playoff picture is going to shake out. It's the biggest story, I think, the rest of the season. But thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night.
Being in a tough conference. Go ahead, my bad.
You know, I don't have to. I cover a team in the East, and they have all but clinched the 1 seed at this point, and they might win 67 games. So I don't have to. I would be for as tight as the race in the West is, and it feels like anything can happen. I would be stunned if we don't get Cavs Celtics in the conference finals. Like when I left Boston, when I left that arena on Friday night, I said to everybody, I'll see you guys in 3 months in May. I'll be back for game 4 or game 3 because we just know where that's going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unless the Patriots have something to say about it.
I would be very surprised if that happens. I would be very, very surprised if that happens.
Look, I'm not going to lie to you, bro. I think you're sleeping on how good the Patriots are, and I can't wait till the playoffs. Well,
I think they're fine.
Do you think the Bucks or Patriots come out of that?
I would pick the Pacers. I would pick the Pacers.
Okay.
I don't feel super confident in it, but I would pick the Pacers. And I think that would be a long series. I think whoever the Cavs play in the first round, whoever the Celtics play in the first round, like that's going to be a very short, quick series. But I would, and then I think, I also, you know what? I would not be surprised if Detroit's in that 4-5 matchup though, because Milwaukee has a really tough month of March and Detroit does not. Like I would not be stunned if it's not Bucks Pacers, if it is Pacers.
So it would be
Pistons
Bucks
in the
Celtics in the second round, maybe
potentially. If the
they
Bucks
would have
could
to
beat
beat
the Knicks,
I think the Bucks could beat the Knicks. I think the Bucks could beat the Knicks.
I think they could. Yeah, I think that'd be a long series. Either way, I think that would be.
I think the Bucks would want. If I'm them, I would almost rather play the Knicks than play them. I think for a matchup standpoint, because at that point, I mean, it depends on how good Mitch is, but overall, man, look, I just say Locked On NBA. If you live in Indiana, if you're an Indianapolis Pacers fan, I'm your guy. I believe in the Pacers. I believe now that guy over there, Darius Garland. Even though I got him all NBA this year, Darius Garland. Let me introduce you to Tyrese Halliburton.
I think Darius is having a better season than Tyrese, and I think a lot of people would probably agree with that.
I'm the one that told you we should be all NBA, but I'm telling you in a playoff setting though, because Tyrese got some special stuff to him, man. Pascal, hey, you want to have a real conversation? Be honest with me right now. Be honest with me. Is Donovan Mitchell having a better season than Pascal Siakam this year?
I think yes, because of what Donovan's being asked to do. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
No,
because what
you
Donovan.
don't
Yes, he is. Because part of what is making Donovan's season special is he is changing how he plays.
Oh, the sacrifice
he needs Evan
thing
Mobley
again.
to step up.
Where have I heard the sacrifice trope in the Eastern Conference?
It's true. I watch
there's
it
another
every
team
day.
that said that. Oh gosh,
every day. I watch it every day because then you see what he's capable of when he goes into Boston. He drops 41 points in a win,
and then you see what he's capable of when he plays versus the Thunder and drops 9 points. I like Donovan Mitchell, by the way.
Let the other guys
Donovan Mitchell was 24, 4 and 45, 39, 82. Man,
and he's playing 30 minutes a game.
And he's not even like he's not a positive net neutral defender, like net neutral positive. I mean, he's net neutral maybe, but not a positive defender. I don't know, bro. I think you need to go watch some Pascal Siakam tape.
I've seen plenty, and I know Donovan Mitchell's having a better year, but thank you for making NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcast, YouTube as well. Hit that thumbs up button for us on the way out. Click subscribe and hit that notification bell, and we'll be back tomorrow talking about every game in the NBA.